Oh,
Wow.
Hey, that was an unusual opening for.
I forgot to change it to the Thursday one.
Oh,
I was looking for the jazz, man. Oh well.
I know. Sorry, guys.
I just want to welcome everybody to Rad Pod and Chill. This is a special sedition edition. I think that we all watched the January 6th committee hearings, and oh my God, what I appreciate about all the work that y'all been doing is that I know this is going to be a heck of an hour. A lot of people are going to be listening to various corporate controlled media news commentary, and some of it I'm sure will be fine, but the incredible knowledge of this team is going to just bring something different to the game. Thursday nights, we usually have a laugh, we have anagrams, we recap the previous episode. Not this week. This week we're going to be talking about what just happened, the trauma our country is still enduring after January 6th, and my very insightful co-host Jim Stewartson, High Fidelity, and Sean Connor are going to be reminding you guys that, they were commenting in the run-up, particularly Jim, who warned people to stay home. I just tweeted a screenshot of his tweet right before January 6th. And Jim, why don't you talk about what was going through your head when you made that tweet and some of your comments on what you just witnessed?
Yeah, I mean, for those of us who were watching them closely, we saw it happen in real time. That meeting that they were talking about, that was part two of, the piece I had with Gal Suburban about, how they were planning this stuff leading up to the insurrection, and how the insurrection was, in fact, Plan B, right? The whole point of it was they were originally going to try and do it without violence, but then they had that meeting, and the next day, Trump tweets, "We're going to have a wild protest," right? 2 days later, I see Ron Watkins tweet out, "Hey, I got some money. Anybody need it to go to DC?" I was like, "What the fuck?
No, Jim.
Ron Watkins money?" Right?
I went into his DMs and started demanding some of that dirty Russian money, and he did not
excellent,
like that.
my brother.
Did he have?
I catch him in this tweet. He's like, "Everybody want to go to DC? Got money?" And I quote tweeted it. 45 seconds later, he deletes it. But the internet's forever. So
he caught his ass.
But it wasn't. But there were 10,000 likes on the tweet at the time. It was like a fucking like right there out in the open, big old fat plan to pay people and send a bunch of QAnon people to Washington D.C. And more than that, we watched them and tracked them through Clout Hub, which is where they were doing most of their actual organizing. Tweeting it out the entire time. Yo, FBI, they're fucking over here in this chat room talking about, going to DC and fucking shit up. Anybody around? And it just, kept going, and it kept ratcheting up. And over that next 10 days or so, some of the people, some of my friends around me, and I just freaked the fuck out. We're like, all right, what are we going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I'm going to start a Discord server. Here we go.
Oh, wow.
And that was, when I started a project, and the first thing we did was get together in Discord chat rooms and come up with memes, come up with hashtags, come up with any fucking thing we could.
I thought you were going to say get infiltrated.
Well, that happened later. Well, it happened at the beginning, it turned out. But whatever. We still managed to get that shit out a lot.
We did, and we shut that shit down.
I mean, who knows what the different? It made a difference. I don't know. Who knows?
There were no fucking
Antifers there. Like I didn't see a single goddamn Antifa in the entire place.
Well, you know what they tried to do is they tried to use that the black speed skating kid from Utah.
Yeah.
What was his name? I forget. Johnny X something.
So
I'm talking about.
We know who showed up. A bunch of people radicalized by people like Mike Flynn in a major operation to get foot soldiers.
Well, yeah, but also Proud Boys dressed up like in black, pretending to be Antifa. The whole thing, they were just trying so desperately, and they just fucked up and assumed that they were going to be able to fool people into going down there to do their play with them. And it turned out they were just a bunch of Nazis with their dicks in their hand, ready to go, smash shit up for America, and had nothing to do with anything other than a bunch of brainwashed people getting fucked around by an actual cabal of elites who didn't give a shit about them.
Yeah,
they did not. They needed them as bodies to overthrow our government. And when you read the pleas of mothers who are begging for mercy for their sons who went to Washington on that day, and their exact words are, they were radicalized by Rush Limbaugh. They were told to go there by Trump. They were radicalized by Alex Jones. That is, based on court documents. And yet here we are. We still have these guys platformed under an incorrectly interpreted amendment. And what are we doing? I just ask everybody, what are we doing? I thought Jared's bit part was exactly, it
was perfect, man. That guy's so
perfectly Jared. Yeah, I mean that's exactly right.
I love it, man. Like, don't give him and Ivanka, right? They gave them like 5 seconds each because they knew that it may no one wants to fucking see them. They're not worth it. They gave them just enough rope to hang their fucking stupid treasonous father, and that was it. So, I loved it, man. Whoever produced that did a really good job.
I thought I'm going to talk real quick about that very thing, the production of it, because I think they're very keen and very astute at the low, like a lo-fi production. You know what I mean? They just have a screen, they have some video, but there was no intro. There's no coming in and out of breaks. It's very simple, no animation or flash. Because the Republican pre-rebuttal whatever today was like, they spent all this money, this cinematic performance, this huge production, and they knew to understate it, obviously, because obviously the content speaks for itself. But I thought it was very smart. Even the way she spoke was very subdued. It was very calm. It was very methodical.
Liz?
Liz was great. Very.
I thought Liz was fucking amazing, man.
Delivery, right? There was nothing sensational. This isn't fucking craziness. This is, and everybody saying it looked like a trial, because it was like a trial. It was very, very clean. Yeah.
Do you remember in World War II Germany when they did some reenactments? They had Hollywood producers who went into the concentration camps, and unfortunately, somebody made a decision to do a reenactment, and that has been used in denialism, for many, many decades. So it's very important that there is no interpretation of events, and that it is raw footage. And
so here I have a Liz Cheney quote that just made me swoon from today. I don't want to get tattooed.
What is it?
One day Donald Trump will be gone, but your dishonor will remain. Fuck you, traitors.
She's right.
Oh man, God, it was so good.
Speaking of traitors, let's name some names, shall we? Mike Flynn, you're fucked, bud. Joseph Biggs.
Wait.
What?
Mike Flynn, hold on. I was at the whole first 20 minutes. I'm like, hold on. Are we going there, or is this all going to be about Trump? I was worried. I was like, hold on. Are you guys going to get to the fucking meat and potatoes? And then they went right to it.
Yeah, that was it.
December 18th, December 19th. That's when they effectuated the plan B, it turns out, to overthrow democracy through physical violence.
Exactly.
That
whining.
made me happy. That made me happy.
Tell people exactly how Flynn connects to that for people who don't follow as closely or may not have yet watched the hearings, why that was so important.
Yeah, December 18th was where they all got together after the first plan, which was to use this executive order to rerun elections with the military. When the director of national intelligence and 17 agencies did not cooperate with that bullshit, they all had an emergency meeting in the White House with Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Jenna Ellis, like Cipollone. All these fucking people are coming in and out of this meeting. And Mike Flynn was basically running that meeting. Patrick Byrne, Mike Lindell.
Hold on. Mike Lindell is the important one, because remember, there's a picture of Mike Lindell walking in. Yep. It said Insurrection Act on it. That's how we knew there was violence planned.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that was, I mean, it was one of the ways that also Trump's.
Well, yeah, tweets, I mean, you know, like it wasn't subtle.
It wasn't fucking subtle.
They're never subtle. They're not fucking subtle, guys. Yeah, because
what I find
it's because it's wild protests. Like they can't figure out what that's supposed to mean or something.
Right.
It's the Gaslit Nation girls. See right here.
Isn't it so interesting though
that
these people who normalized Trump and were fixers for Trump and stood beside him, blindly obedient for Trump, the Barrs and the Pences. Isn't it so interesting when treason is a line too far? That's just the bridge too far. I find it fascinating.
It wasn't a bridge too far. It wasn't a bridge too far at all. They were totally happy with it until they saw it wasn't working.
Yeah. When the insurrection failed is when they all bailed.
One of those people knew it was going to happen. Their ass covering, like, oh my God, you better make it stop, comes after it's pretty clear it's not going to work. Right?
Well, perhaps then that would be the elite defection that we need in our own country. So just as we talked about elite defection in other countries, whether it was Gaddafi's regime,
They are just going to regroup and pull this bullshit again. This is just a hiccup in their plan. This isn't a stop to their plan. They're going to.
So for me, it was very important that they were focusing on Trump in the way they were, because our country has still been traumatized by this period, and nobody on this show acknowledges the 2016 election as something that did not involve a military attack on our country. And for me, it's very important. But as Jim noted, we were exchanging messages before the show. I feel it's very important because the cult of Trump is still, he goes to these rallies and maybe the numbers are dwindling, but it still is in existence. Jim says that they've moved on. And so I'd like you to speak on that, because I think it's very important that whatever remaining cult is there, that it's evident that Trump tried to overthrow the government, and that is not acceptable.
I mean, look, they're at the point where this may help Trump, right? They'll be like based, like, amazing. I can't believe he was actually trying to save our country this way from the inside out. That's so amazing. But I think so there will be some of that. There's going to be a lot of white supremacists just like, fuck yeah, that dude's awesome.
So you don't think he's going to run, or what? You don't think?
I don't. I don't think they're gonna allow him to run. I think his usefulness as an idiot is over to them.
You think it'll be Mike Flynn and Kyle Rittenhouse?
Well, that's the thing. There's a whole bunch of these guys, right, that think they're going to take over for Trump. Right,
Ron DeSantis and Matt Gaetz,
DeSantis, Matt Gaetz, Flynn, Prince, for fuck's sake, like a bunch of these maniacs really believe this is their chance
Prince is dead, dude.
To do it, and none of them respect Trump. None of them,
He was the guy who gathered the money.
Flynn's been separating from them for a long time.
Yeah, I think,
most recently he posted some actually nasty shit.
Yeah.
I agree about
I agree
with,
we agree.
DeSantis is,
he's got the worst,
dangerous
his
performance
Mussolini
artist is what he is.
He's got the ideology that Trump has, but he knows politics better, so he's a little more insidious.
However, it should be fairly obvious that he's a problem, given that his spokesperson just had to register as a foreign agent.
Yeah.
Yes, let's talk about Christina Pushaw for a second, shall we?
Yeah.
Christina, push the fuck off.
Gal Suburban is in the house.
What's up, Gal?
What's up?
Or something, Gal. Christina Pushaw suddenly showed up around Ron DeSantis after being Mikhail Saakashvili's PR person, who is the former president of the Georgian Republic of the Soviet Union, basically, right? Which is
Misha, as everyone calls him. Let's see. Did we just lose Jim?
Jim
We
just froze.
did. We did.
Jim froze. Kick him.
When Jim comes back, she also worked, directly for the Koch cadre, and we recognize her as being
He's an operative.
A worse version of Kellyanne Conway, a more overt one that requires less investigation because it's so obvious. When your press secretary has to register as a foreign agent, you would think the jig is up, but not with these folks. They're outreach.
Foreign agent? That doesn't mean anything.
Pushaw is a well-trained operative.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And has been just all Russia all the time since 2012.
Right.
Literally her entire career is Russia and/or the former Soviet republics there.
Yeah, and Koch and the Koch cadre. Yeah. So because I've never forgotten the concept of a pre-buttal out of my mind since we had Paul Mason on the second time, we always have to start playing offense. We know there's going to be concerted right-wing talking points trying to turn this into, one of the lines was show trials. Well, that's not it. That's the fake world, the pretend world that they rule with propaganda in. But I did a thread this morning very early because I wanted to get the pre-buttal out of the way. And this is all words from Ruth Ben-Ghiat. Nothing is more threatening to criminals than an investigation. That's number one. Nothing more threatening to criminals than knowing they're under investigation. It's why when Trump found out Mueller was investigating him, he's like, I'm fucked. And that is so true. The other thing she said is propaganda is meant to fog our brains, to distract us from the real story and elicit feelings of anger at the designated enemy du jour. That was interesting to me, guys, because not only is it angering those that it's supposed to outrage, it outrages the unbrainwashed. So it's very, very insidious.
No, it radicalizes. I mean, we're radicalized, but we have to be. We have no fucking choice.
That's right.
There's a bunch of radicalized people attacking us, all of us.
That's right.
So, you do what you got to do. But
another important point that I want to bring up to you guys.
Before you hit one, that I just wanted to say about so Bill Barr. Before we move on,
about his little piece, his talk.
Like they're trying to like semi-lionize this dude. Let's be very clear.
Yeah,
he covered up Iran-Contra.
Yeah.
He did. He was like.
And who else was in Iran-Contra? Singlob.
Yeah.
Jack Singlob, all kinds of fucking people.
Ollie North.
Yeah, he's a baddie. He's a baddie.
Yeah.
It's all that shit. So he covered up for Iran-Contra, and then he covered up for the theft of the 2016 election. Let's be very clear.
Yeah.
He stopped the Mueller report from having any effect whatsoever, from getting the DOJ to move forward on it, by cock blocking it at the last possible moment, then putting out a letter that completely lied about it.
That letter,
Everything about it. That was Bill Barr. So nobody gets to fucking come in here and say Bill Barr is any sort of patriot.
Yeah.
He is not. He's an Opus Dei operative, and he needs to shut the fuck up and or go to prison forever.
That little summary letter was
Sharon just
really
made
bad.
an excellent point. The Brooks Brothers riot was the prototype for January 6th. Correct. And who was the Brooks Brothers riot? Why, that would be
Roger
Stone.
Roger Stone, yeah.
Bingo.
So, there's a lot of people.
Barr also is responsible for repurposing money that took money away from basically being able to focus and expose Russian oligarchs. So he's been around for some time. He took money that was to shore up, national security and repurposed it toward the crack cocaine wars. That's fine. But wherever we see some major events, we can often find Bill Barr. And of course,
right. Also,
we don't even want to get into his father and some of the strange family history there. But I want to say one more thing, because I think it's very important for our viewers and very important for the team. Right on cue, as Ruth notes, we are seeing on Fox News reports of the return of caravan of migrants trying to cross the border, Antifa and Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
Okay, those two things were trending on Twitter yesterday. Why is that?
Really?
Because it's the TV reality they created, and they're rerunning their greatest hits. So please be on.
Are they rerunning those during the hearings? Because they're the only network who is.
They're not running his hearings, yeah. So let's also predict there'll be another Marjorie Taylor Greene gaffe or something absurd that everyone's going to look at her and laugh at her, right? That'll happen. Right. There'll be another, exactly what you're saying. There's the caravan's coming now that they've picked up nuclear weapons and they're all bringing them on their backs to charge over the border. Or whatever sensational way they can twist it.
Or Roe v. Wade gets overturned.
Yeah. Yes. So we all are going
to sometime in the next couple of weeks, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So right. For the January 6th committee being cast as a communist socialist inquisition force, I think it's very important we throw the narrative out there that they're the coordinated talking points that they'll come up with. So when we hear it, we're like blasé, like la-di-da. We know what's really going on. That's their fake world.
Yeah, I mean, look, if that's the best, they've been planning counter programming for this for a long time. So if that's all they got, then okay.
Well, and the thing is that when you're in the moment, when you're actually present, I kind of tweeted about this yesterday. When you're in a room, it's not anyone else's. It's the public's discourse. It's the public that has to be the judge, jury, and listener. And in that public discourse tonight, you saw. Could you imagine with them in front of that screen watching that footage saying it was a tourist? They would never say that in the public discourse in the moment because of how fucking absurd it is. It would fall flat on its face.
Right.
So they have to use that by separating, by taking that argument out of the public discourse into a sort of echo chamber. That's the only place that it's effective.
Yeah, but it's really fucking effective in there,
right? Of course it is.
If nobody in there is watching any other news source, right?
Oh, I know how effective it is. Yeah,
right. I know you know. I'm just saying.
It's horribly frightening. But when you see the truth and the reality of it, just splayed out like that,
it really doesn't take long,
Yeah.
I am begging everyone to be smarter. I lost a friend who told me that the video that we saw from January 6th was just a couple of bad actors, and then he called me a communist because that is what his media ecosystem is telling him to do. And so I want to think that we're going to be smarter. I want to think that when somebody like Peter Navarro says this is Stalinist Russia, that people collectively are smarter than that this time. And I don't know how we get there, but that has to be the goal. If we don't all start seeing the same narrative in this country, then we will lose our fucking country. And that is how important it is that we come together over what's real versus what is propaganda.
But there's a good point in regards to that, and also in regards to the exhaustion of fascism, and fascism being a movement, not a state of existence, is that people that focus solely on destroying things, it's easier to destroy something that's already made, right? It's much more difficult to sustain that thing that's built. You know what I mean? So this destruction, this destroy mentality of tearing something down, that's easier. That's it's not. But when you build something and you have it, you create something, it's more difficult to uphold. Not that it is in any way a negative thing, but the fact that they're constantly trying to destroy something, take it down, But even if they won with taking it down, now that's a whole other thing, is to keep it in place, which, you know, they have not been able to prove that, you know. So hopefully we'll see.
The other thing that I asked for, guys, is I reached out to the media and I asked for a moratorium on parroting coordinated right-wing talking points from their pretend world. We know that when Ruth Ben-Ghiat's mother turned the channel and didn't watch RT anymore, that suddenly she believed that she made a mistake voting for Brexit and she hated Putin. So if the media would stop parroting the extreme right and their bullshit pretend world talking points, then we would have a chance of this shared narrative. I doubt that's going to happen, but it should.
Yeah. I mean, look, fascism requires lying, right? Because if you're being honest with people, like, they're not going to agree to what you want, which is for you to get more power than them, right? That's all that a fascist wants. And so by definition, they have to lie, right? It's built into the fucking deal.
Yeah.
And we gotta get used to the idea that, you know, there's half of us are just now trained to not tell the truth on purpose. Like they just do it all the time, and we have to stop giving them. One of the things that keeps bugging me, they keep, you know, giving these people credit for things, right? Like, oh, they're crazy, or they don't know, or this and that, right?
Or they just take credit, like Trump just takes credit, you know, like Obama's, like, whatever, the health care that he passed for veterans or whatever. It's just take.
I gotta make
raising your hand. Just talk, dude.
Just talk.
Okay. Fine. I'm trying to not, like, cut you off and be rude. God damn it. Anyway,
I like it when he raises his hand.
Did you guys see what's going on with Nandini and Claire?
What?
Over check my ads.
No.
They're going after Fox News now.
Oh, good for them. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is a thing. This is going on.
Yeah.
And really, that's what it's going to take. Is you have to make Fox News and Newsmax non-profitable businesses.
Yeah. You can't advertise.
Did you guys hear, according to OAN, Elon Musk is thinking about buying them?
Fox?
Well, he's gonna need it because his people are starting to people who were part of his cult are kind of probably starting to wonder if he's so.
I mean, but can we absorb that for a second? I mean, so this is from Herring, the guy in charge of OAN, which is
OAN. Is that what you're saying? Is that what's OAN?
Yes, OANN.
Okay. Yeah.
One American News.
I never heard it called OAN. Yeah.
OAN.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I got you. I
don't give a shit what you call it.
We're now on the same page. Yes.
Call it fucking TASS. I mean, it's worse in many ways than, like, state Russian propaganda.
Yeah.
Like there was Hi-Fi gave me a clip of this fucker Dan Ball, who was
he's the worst,
pouring so much love onto Putin and hate onto Zelensky, talking about the Nazis, and it was astonishing how gross and just feeble and subservient it was to Vladimir Putin. That's the network that Elon Musk wants to buy.
Yeah.
We'll see if he buys Twitter. You know,
seal the deal as a Russian propaganda.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Twitter is getting bought by Elon Musk.
You think it's? Yeah, I do. I have my prediction in the chats. I have my prediction.
Okay, listen. Elon Musk is a fucking problem. Okay, I every show I have to say this now, but I need people to realize that Elon Musk is kind of like Lex Luthor, but not as smart and with really bad hair surgery.
Oh.
Dude is a super villain. Dude is a super villain. Stop. He's abusive to women. He's like, whoa.
No, like I think if there's if there's a person you could call a super villain, that would be him, right?
Mm.
He's got $250 billion.
And he doesn't even have cool shit like Batman. So what the fuck? Bruce Wayne was so much better than Elon fucking Musk. Anyway.
What did you guys think? I'm asking our people. What did you guys think of the hearings? Did you think it was good? You know, curious.
Oh, Teal has Palantir deals with NHS. Yeah, Palantir is basically like the data vacuum that every government's going to tap into and know everything about everybody. I mean,
he does not have sharks armed with lasers yet. Stephen, thank you. Though.
There was something.
Peter Thiel is the next. I think is the next level up. After
yeah. Like there's Elon and then there's Thiel.
Way up there.
Oh, our friend Jarvis
here.
And then Flynn's going before any of those fucking guys, right?
Yeah.
Well, shout out to our friend Stephen Jarvis, who did more in defense of Radpod and the team and Jim than just anybody. I mean, what a tenacious
Mr. Jarvis. Everyone calls him Mr. Jarvis. It's not a snooty thing, just so everyone knows.
Yeah,
he's a teacher.
He's generally called Mr. Jarvis.
I just love that Mr. Jarvis hates bullies, and that's really how he got interested in the fight.
Jarvis,
that's how we get along.
He hates bullies. I hate them too.
He really hates bullies. Speaking of bullies, there were a number of things that were said about Trump tonight that I do think that no matter how it's spun, he's going to have a hard time recovering from it. And I'm sure I'm wrong, but I'd like to think I'm not. And they were just so blunt and direct in their language. And I was very relieved of that because it left no room for nuance. They continually showed that he directed people to head to the Capitol. And there was plenty of predictions of how violent it would go. And then when he was very aware of the violence, he still was using propagandist language. Everything they read, my weekly studies with Ruth, you could just hear it just dripped of pure propaganda. It was so Mussolini playbook. It was like scripted.
Yeah. And I think as they go forward, I've heard that they're going to focus in on how he did know. He had a full realization that he had lost, right? Because there was that discrepancy. Like, well, if he didn't really think that he lost, if he didn't, there's that. And when you're talking about, but I'm saying
that's fucking new.
I agree with you, but we had, that had been the narrative that was continued to float out there.
One of the things I hope they do get into is the digital soldier aspect, because that stuff's in court records, right? Like people have testified they were there for Q. They were a digital soldier for Q, right? So a lot of them, yes, and Q and Trump, was all mixed together. But when somebody is testifying, I was a digital soldier, they are saying out loud, I am brainwashed by Mike Flynn's propaganda.
Yeah, that's right.
I definitely, like, he legally trademarked it.
Right.
He trademarked it legally. Like, that's right.
I have a quasi, I don't know. I have a question for you guys, and it's actually a serious one, I guess. So Trump knew he lost. According to the hearings tonight, there was a 7-part plan to try to deny that loss and to overturn the election. Why was this man so desperate not to relinquish his presidency? Now, we know that dictators come to power to hide their corruption. So perhaps he knows when he's out of power, the walls may close in. Perhaps it's that he has struck some deal with, say, someone like Putin and had no choice but to win. But why do you think he so psychotically tried to, every which way, deny the election returns to stay in power?
Ego injury. He is a malignant narcissist. I'm serious.
Yeah,
I'm not disagreeing.
That's his main motivation, right? Listen to Mary Trump's book, man. Is fear of ego injury, and it's why he's so vindictive. Yes, because when somebody hurts his ego, and it's very, very big and very sensitive. It's like a big bulging, sensitive ego. And if anyone touches it, he goes fucking batshit on them, right? And that is I think the thing that he was afraid of being a
I think she goes further in explaining the malignancy part of it. Is in doing so, it got twisted in terms of him. He actually gets in like entertainment. He enjoys seeing other people hurt instead of himself being hurt. So his ego is so massive and so fragile that he derives pleasure from him not getting hurt and actually seeing other people's in pain. Which to me,
it's sadism. Comes out of psychological abuse.
That's the piece that she explained that I hadn't really realized was that, oh my God, like, why is he doing all this? Why is all this pain? It's like, can you see how bad it is? Yes, he can. He wants
that's
that.
The point. He wants it.
Yeah, exactly. That was really frightening for me.
When they say the cruelty is the point, they mean that both broadly and individually, right? The people who do this kind of shit are sociopaths. You have to be a sociopath to do this, right?
You can't allow hundreds and thousands of people to die when you could have prevented, mass deaths during COVID.
Intentionally withholding PPE from blue states because they thought it was a Democrat problem.
Well, I mean, Mary Trump calls it the toxic positivity of his father. He had that always be positive, spin it positive. So that toxic.
You know what that is? That's prosperity gospel.
Yeah.
Well, she calls it the toxic positivity that would refuse them to
there's that
believe.
Preacher, the famous prosperity guy was Trump's pastor. Who basically just all good thoughts. If you just think things, it'll happen. And that prosperity gospel turned into people like Kenneth Copeland, who the only prosperity it gets is his, right? That guy's got fucking $3 billion of his parishioners' money that he sucks out with his brainwashing shit every single week. And that all comes from the same prosperity gospel nonsense.
Interesting, because when it was evident that he would no longer be in power and he sour graped it right out, it meant a lot of the grifters who surrounded him knew also that they were going to be out of a grift because they wouldn't be able to go do their grifting at the massive rallies. So perhaps that's also why the grift continued through the reawakens and through the Flynn's and the Lee Dundases and all that stuff. Perhaps that was one way to continue the grift.
Certainly it needs money, right? It is a grift to that extent, but the purpose of it is not the grift. The purpose of the grift is to brain fuck America into shooting itself in the head. Like, that is the plan. That is what they are trying to do. And the 2020 election didn't work, and they just kept going because they're little fascists. And I'm going to say it one more time. Fascism doesn't stop until it's defeated. And we didn't defeat them. We did not fucking defeat them, and we're not going to defeat them at these hearings either. What I hope is that enough people, sorry for the phrase, wake the fuck up after these hearings and just do your little part. That's all you got to do.
What's going on with the go ahead, Heidi.
I just want to tell you what my friend always gets me great books. He's the one who gives me all these great Russian books, and I don't know if you can see
Dancing Bears,
True Stories of People Nostalgic for Life Under Tyranny. This is one he gave me last night for my birthday. It's freaking fascinating. I think one of the things that really terrified me, that Ruth said when I first met her, was that once a country gets a thirst for authoritarianism or fascism, it doesn't go away. So when Jim talks about defeating fascism, we really, really have to take that very seriously. How it happens, I still believe, is what Fred Wellman, explained to us, is getting the 100 million people who sit it out to not sit it out. So we need you guys desperately to vote in.
He calls his organization the Beer Hall Putsch, right? And a reminder of what the Beer Hall Putsch was. The fucking insurrection. Exactly the insurrection. It was a failed physical plan to take over the Weimar German government in 1923. It failed, and they slapped Hitler on the wrist and put him in club, fed for a year in Weimar while he wrote Mein Kampf. And he came out much more popular than he was when he went in. We are repeating the same fucking, we're not even rhyming history. We're repeating it.
Yes.
Like that was the beer hall putsch that we just had. And we can either wait for the fucking Holocaust this time or not.
No.
That's a choice.
Right. I mean, we haven't addressed the fact that we had a president who allowed hundreds of thousands of people to die. We haven't.
Or the election.
So
or said both sides were like.
So let me ask you, what would defeating fascism look like in this moment? Would it be the arrest of Mike Flynn, and would it be court-martialing him? What would it look like?
It would
firing squads.
Okay. Well, look, I wrote this. I'm not a death penalty guy, but if there's a crime that is deserving of it, it would probably be stealing a presidential election and then doing everything in your power to murder people and bring down your nation. Yeah. Those are bad things. You're not supposed to do those things.
Yeah, it seems pretty clear.
So what would defeat it? It's not hard. Get rid of the fucking propaganda, because that is their weapon. That is their main weapon. Get rid of Telegram. Get rid of Fox. Get rid of Newsmax. Fucking clean up these social media companies with some goddamn regulations.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
That is defeating fascism. Defeating fascism is not letting cult members in the goddamn Congress of the United States. If somebody is in the Congress threatening their colleagues, showing up with fucking guns, whatever it is, you kick them the fuck out. They do not belong in our house.
My God.
All you have to do is start fighting these people with the laws on the books and a little fucking spine. That's all.
Yeah. Ooh.
I got one favor to ask, and this is
that clip for a promo.
This is homework for our viewers.
No, homework.
It's homework.
I'm just kidding.
But hey, somebody's got to do the fucking homework of democracy.
Man. Go ahead.
Everyone who listens to us, just promise the show, promise yourself even that you're going to get like 3 people who don't normally vote, and you're going to be like, look, this is really fucking serious.
Yeah.
We got to vote, and we got to make sure that, we turn into a scub argument, like, are you blue or are you red? But no, if red comes and takes everything, that's the start of the end. So
or blue for that matter. I don't give a shit.
Or blue.
Nobody's coming for my fucking family, my freedom, my country, any of it. And
speaking of which, I have something to say about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
Oh no, I was just what was the and maybe chat can you help me out. I saw the Supreme Court, what did they rule on today that basically allowed a military or a representative of the government to basically enter into a private person's private company's office and take shelter, essentially throwing out the notion that you have to, that the federal government can't take your land essentially, and you
I mean, search and seizure? Like,
I'll have to look it up.
Eminent domain here forever.
No, I'll have to look it up. Let me look it up real quick.
It sounds like some amendments that.
Let me look it up.
Well, you're looking that up.
I wrote a thing about fucking Amy Coney Barrett. They're not.
I know.
We have got to stop with this fantasy that these people are there to be judges or there to in any way enforce the Constitution. Amy Coney Barrett is a legitimate cult member, not just a super strong strain of Christianity. No, like a serious literal cult where they insulate people. Women are handmaids. They are called handmaids. They are fucking handmaids in Amy Coney Barrett's cult. Her mother was a handmaid. Her father was on the all-male board of governors. There's child sexual abuse all over the founder of this cult. Guess whose house she lives in? The founder of the cult's fucking house is where she lives.
For 2 years.
Amy Coney Barrett is a fucking cult member. She is not there for the Constitution. The only people that her religion allows her to listen to are 5 male coordinators, whoever the fuck those are, and people of praise. She doesn't listen to anybody else.
Hi-Fi and I are doing a little investigatory work on that. I want to bring something up related to the hearing. So I have a friend who's a trial lawyer who would point out that Trump would tweet Nancy Pelosi's name disparagingly all the time because it was a good way for him to beef up the family industry, and the family industry was grifting off of constant campaigning. And when he would disparage Nancy Pelosi, it was like ka-ching. So we've talked about stochastic terrorism, and when you're in a position of power and you are using your bully pulpit to harm people. And when we heard those people chanting her name, that sounded like every movie I've ever seen where you've got a mob going crazy to lynch somebody. And Nancy Pelosi was very, very unsafe at that time. And we have seen the way these propagandists use words against. We just had Christopher Bouzy on talking about how Kamala Harris has been receiving such hate. So I just, I don't know what it's going to take to stop trying to, think that hate speech is not something that should be prosecuted in this country, because it's obviously having real world impacts.
Yep.
John, could you put Jennifer's last comment up for me, please?
Yep. This is the real quick, guys. Put it in the chat. But this is the rulings that an individual business owner didn't have cause to bring an action against a federal agent that physically assaulted him, which is a bad precedent.
It's pretty bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
That just says a Fed can beat on you. Fuck that. That's not their job.
Well,
every single thing that they do from this point forward until we reverse some of the damage that was done with Amy Colty Barrett. Jennifer for the win again.
Jennifer, she's got to get a job like this. Fucking.
We need.
I like how Sean's pulling out.
Jennifer's just like our t-shirt designer over here. Like,
we need an Amy Colty Barrett meme.
Yeah.
With the spy off.
Yep.
No,
that's a little. Let's not go there.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
It was a joke. It was. I had the Monty Python in my ear.
One of my grandmothers way back.
Burn them.
No, but I do think that there does have to be something definitively done to show that treason is still, a thing in this country, and if you commit it, you are, you face the worst of consequences. I don't know what it's going to look like,
right? But we are so the Overton window, right? Does anybody know what that is? The Overton window is like the boundaries of acceptable discourse, right? It's like, if the most right-wing person is over here and the most left-wing person is over here, right? That's the Overton window. And the Overton window has just been getting pulled over to the right wing, where now, like, you can just say treasonous shit. You can just be on Fox and be a straight up Putin, like, not even apologist, like
sympathizer.
And not even sympathizer, like advocate, like actively trying to convince people that Putin is right and our president is wrong, right? Like, the Overton window has been pulled so far over that kind of shit's just okay, and like, we're too afraid to say fucking woke, right? Because it's gonna make us or Russia or anything else, because God, we might be a conspiracy theorist. Well, guess what? The fucking January 6th committee is showing you a ginormous fucking conspiracy. Real time.
You're right.
Like, giant, honking, dirty, treasonous fucking conspiracy to take over the United States of America. We told you so, motherfuckers. All y'all shut up and watch them work. Thank you very much.
Yep. It's got some terrible.
Jim's feeling saucy tonight. I like it.
I'm saucy. Fuck y'all. This is a big release for me, right? Like after seeing this shit for 2 years, finally it's like,
Yeah.
Here it is. Somebody is fucking saying it out loud.
They're not going to go far enough. They're not going to get to Teal. They're not going to get to Mercer. They're not going to get to.
Well, let's challenge them.
That's okay. Like I said, those are like, we got to peel this onion, man. And if we can peel off Trump, and
I just want to go Gordy and not.
As long as we get to Prince. As long as we get to Prince, right?
Prince would be nice.
Like it's gonna take a while.
They put Bannon. By the way, did you notice in the clip they played that Bannon had Jack Posobiec right next to him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's very interesting.
Mr.
I think
Pizzagate, motherfucker.
First of all, friends that have been on our show have given testimony, not as as experts to the January 6th committee. So they, I think they know what's going on here. I think we saw evidence of that tonight. And so I wanted to say, though, there are people who feel despair because they feel their vote doesn't matter and that things don't change. Well, we would not have been able to have these hearings tonight if we had not all showed up to vote the autocrat in the middle of his full autocratic capture out. The reason that we were able to have hearings like we had tonight, which are very real, authentic, is because we put in Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They obviously have to distance themselves from this, but that is the reason we can have these hearings. If we had not done our civic duty and voted out the dictator, things would look a lot different. And quite frankly, I'm not sure I would still be in this country. And even so, I still look for an exit strategy periodically because we'll see what happens between now and November. But I have friends who are getting, Portugal citizenship. They're, cashing out and buying property in Canada and Costa Rica. And so, we still don't know how this story ends, but I feel a bit better tonight.
If we don't retain our majorities, I don't see how we get by without some very bad times. We're not going to fix things before then. Obviously,
part of the problem is our majority thinks it's actually outnumbered by the loudness of this fucking minority who's pulling this crap.
I agree. I love how you jumped in like that and didn't raise your hand. That was fucking awesome.
I didn't because I wanted to hear you finish your sentence. So.
I wanted to hear what Hi-Fi said.
Hi-Fi, you're up. Go.
Fuck. Well, now you put me on the spot, man.
I know.
I just.
Oh, now you can't perform, huh? Oh, I see.
All right, motherfucker. All right, let's talk about that. I just gave people homework. Seriously, get 3 friends. That's all you got to do is just get involved and be like, okay, who's really running this shit in our area, in our state, in our country?
Yeah.
At what levels?
And you know what that plan was called in 2016? MAGA 3X.
What?
Yeah.
MAGA 3X.
That's what MAGA 3X meant. Was you were supposed to go get 3 friends, and it was fucking smart, and it worked.
Well, there you go. Let's.
What's great about
MAGA 3X because they did a whole lot of other shit like Pizzagate and QAnon and stuff.
Yeah, let's not go down those.
I recommend.
We're not forming a cult, people.
I recommend everybody get involved in their local politics, support the national level, and make sure to vote. But I've been in the middle of something incredibly special. When you talk about getting 3 friends, I've made hundreds of new friends in the last few months, literally, because of what I'm doing on a campaign. And I just am so inspired that I can see where democracy still works. And I think that I don't know. I feel like people might be denying themselves a little bit of what might be the beauty of living in a democracy if they don't actually just roll up their sleeves and just get involved. Find a candidate who shares your values like Julie Briskman taught us and just get involved.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
it's a great feeling, man.
Remain awed by that person always, man.
Yeah.
It's all you got to do Like
Yeah.
if a fascist like rolls by in his goddamn bulletproof limo, flip him off.
Yeah.
Like that's it. And guess what happened? Yeah, I fucked her up for a while, but she stepped off. It was like, nope, I am now in charge, bitch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is egg throwing allowed, or is that a no-no?
What's that?
Are you allowed to throw eggs? Is
Throw
egg
eggs?
throwing allowed?
No physical bullshit.
I don't think so. I just think anything that you could do could come back. So, but I just want to say that I was told in working on a local level campaign that on the night of the primary, if we win, that there's no better feeling, and there is no better feeling. All the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into getting people to vote in their local elections and then actually winning something.
So did you win? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I'm telling you.
Stop all this. All that.
Get the flex on, Heidi. Get it.
So the point is though, and then when you look around on election night and you see all the people, and in our case, this was bipartisan, all kinds of ages. We see them all there, and you know them all by their first name because they've been walking precincts and making phone calls and writing postcards. It's just like the best feeling. And that is really what I think our country is made of. I think this pretend, hideous, manufactured outrage, hate, pretend world, propaganda world, that is a layer of our world that we have to deal with, but it's not what we're made of. And I think that there's a very good chance democracy can come back.
It's pure, it's literally manufactured in people's brains, right? Like that's the thing about it. And the thing that the only reason I'm out here fighting is because I don't think 35% of America are actually like neo-Nazi fascists. I don't think it's anything like that at all. I think a whole lot of people got brainwashed by a propaganda operation, by a psychological operation. And the only way that it works is if the propaganda continues and people don't know what's going on. That's how that, and those two things can't go on forever. They just can't.
I want to say
as much as once a society gets a taste for it, they don't let it go. At the same time, once a society gets a taste for fucking oppression and poverty and shit, like they don't like that either.
That's right. So one more thing before I sign off here, and that when I looked around at all these people and I told my friend, you know, that guy over there, that's my favorite Republican. He worked harder than anybody. This person over there, they're progressive as hell and they worked harder than anybody. And my friend just looked at me and he said, you know, it's about what unites us.
Yep.
Let's hope, right? Let's hope. And to do that, we've got to protect our own people, our own citizens.
Yeah.
And that includes the people that right now we don't like at all.
That's right.
And that is the most difficult part of all this, right? There's going to be reconciliation with people that, you know, hated your guts not that long ago.
Yeah.
Maybe still do, but are starting to at least come around.
Take the leaders? Can we take the leaders out?
Oh, yes, we can take them and do whatever capital T.
We have to take out some trash.
Is what you're supposed to do. I don't know.
Gotta rearrange. Gotta rearrange the furniture there. You know, get an interior designer to come change some shit.
But I just people can still come together for the right reasons over good people, and it can still happen. And I hope.
You're telling us that you're living proof of that, right? Because you won.
I'm just saying, like the only reason that the campaign I worked on won is because of people setting aside their differences to work their asses off for somebody they think could help in their community. And it was humbling for me, to see people come together, because I've been documenting the divisions and what's real and what's not. So I'm just heartened.
I mean, look, the most psyop people on planet Earth is Congress.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like if I mean, think about it, right? Like they're the most radicalized people because they've been literally like, imagine how psyoped the Republicans are. Yeah. Like they go into these fucking like cult meetings with these, you know, people like Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump in charge, right? And Ted Cruz, and they get in their fucking hate rooms and just grind on you know all the wokes and the evils of the world, right?
When you get tapes mailed to you from Newt Gingrich that tells you what words to use, that's going to make sure your brain is pretty psyop. These are the words that you can use.
Yeah. But in this last minute we have here, let's go back to the hearings. They are bipartisan. I'm sure I agree with nothing that Liz Cheney probably votes for or against, but I will say I agreed with every fucking word she said tonight. So
she said she voted with Donald Trump more than Mitch McConnell.
I know.
She 93% of the fucking time she voted with Donald Trump.
High five's falling asleep. We gotta go.
Actually, hold on. I got one final thing to say. This is what I have to say about the January 6th committees.
Uh-oh, he's a false asleep.
No, if Morgan Freeman doesn't play Benny's part, like, what is the world even coming to?
That's a perfect Rad Pod and Chill ending.